There he is, Crash Bandicoot, or as the Europeans call him. So that's Clancy Brown, by the way, as the voice of Cortex.
I fell for hours!
Little known fact that Clancy Brown was also the voice of Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob, yeah. So what's this? It seems he fell into a cave like in that funny webcomic. No, little Cortex boy, don't go into the weed cave. Okay, so the schizophrenic hallucination is going to tell us a few things before we can officially play the game. If I was a funny Let's Play man with editing skills, I would edit in the audio of Mr. Enter complaining about the lack of 9/11 and turning red in this scene. That would be kind of funny, right? Probably. So they just put in that tutorial for fools if you don't know what to do. We'll start with the pits, I guess.
Not into the pit! It burns!
So here we go. The funny orange marsupial has beamed down, presumably from outer space, in a series of blue halos, and now it's time to go kill people and break things, as bandicoots often do. So, I'm assuming you already know the history of Crash Bandicoot and how everything works, but just in case you're just a total ignoramus like that one guy who wrote the GameSpot review for the Crash Bandicoot trilogy, let me explain the history of Crash Bandicoot to you. So, most people assume that Crash Bandicoot's first official appearance was in Crash Bandicoot for the Sony PlayStation, but this is just a misconception, you see. Crash Bandicoot did not in fact premiere in Crash Bandicoot, but rather, Crash Bandicoot's first appearance was in NBA Jam for the SNES. You know how NBA Jam had Big Head mode and Bill Clinton mode? Well, there was also a Crash Bandicoot mode. The developers of NBA Jam were initially confused as to what Crash Bandicoot mode was supposed to be, since no such character existed back then. Nobody even knew what a Crash Bandicoot was, and so to address this problem, the developers of NBA Jam invited all of the basketball players from the game into the studio as consultants, and from there Charles Barkley suggested that Crash Bandicoot should be orange like a basketball, and the rest is history, as they say. So, now you're all caught up on the history of Crash Bandicoot. Don't listen to the fun police over at Did You Know Gaming. One day they might try to dispute everything that I've just told you. They'll try to tell you that Crash Bandicoot was originally planned to be a Sega Saturn game called Willy the Wombat, but don't listen to them. It's all just propaganda. The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. Well, I think that might be one of the more bizarre rants that I've ever gone on. What even was that? To be completely open and honest, I don't even know where to take the episode now. How do you even follow up on such a long-winded speech? Here's this thing, I guess. It works on so many levels. The critic, the toilet, the looping GIF. It's genius, I tell you. Pure genius. Albert Einstein and his mamby-pamby theory of relativity ain't got nothing on a looping GIF of the nostalgia critic turning into a fucking toilet. Gosh, we've really hit rock bottom, haven't we? What even is this? This is truly the worst episode I have ever made. Ah, Lord Jesus. So we seem to be doing a good job of avoiding all of these very simple enemies that just trot back and forth. You know, it was actually, well, let me back up. The simplicity of the enemies in this game was actually one of the key inspirations for the Spyro games, because the Spyro team looked at this and how they saw how the enemies would just walk back and forth in a simple path, and they wanted to do something more complex than that. They wanted enemies that would taunt you when you wouldn't walk up to them, and enemies that would chase you down, and that's how we ended up with one of the core tenets of Spyro the Dragon. So far, that's been the only true thing I've said on this episode thus far. As Phil Collins once famously said, it's all been a pack of lies. You're probably questioning everything I've ever told you at this point. You're even wondering if Crash Bandicoot is actually named Crash Bandicoot. Was that a lie too, huh? What's Crash Bandicoot's real name? Is it Bernard Albertson? No, that's not funny. So anyway, I kinda whiffed on that jump there, but we can just do it again. The bonus levels don't count for nothing. I want to at least make an attempt at breaking all the crates in every level, because that's what the developers want you to do after all. It gives it replay value. It's really a sign that these are just very well-made games, and the fact that every level has layers to it. For simple-minded dumbasses, you can just fly right through it, but for people who actually care, they can go back a second time and try to break all the boxes. Replay value, hooray! Damn it. You know, I thought previously the number of bounces was different. Maybe they changed it for the remake, but I don't remember it being 10 bounces. There was that famous Oni Plays conversation where they basically discussed this exact same thing that I'm talking about right now, and they had that big shouting match. That was funny.
I told you that if you get to A, you jump on its eye. Every time it's A, you fucking time it's A. Stupid fucking idiot, you're gonna die. I'm coming from the
Yeah, it sounded like that, basically.
Hello, my dear old friend. Good to see your face again. How